Welcome back to the Nerd Post, and in this video, I am going to be trying something I've never done before, and frankly, I don't know if many other people have done or made a video on, but I'm going to be doing solo role-playing with artificial intelligence. So stick around and let's see what happens. Alright, as I said, I am going to be trying this solo role-playing thing with artificial intelligence. I found a chatbot assistant thing that does role-playing where the AI sort of runs it. It seems to keep track of your health and thirst and hunger and rest and all that stuff. I created a sort of post-apocalyptic dystopian setting for this game. We're going to be calling it the Chimera Wasteland RPG, just to set some basic guidelines. This is, as I said, post-apocalyptic. So in this world, there was a genetically engineered virus called the Chimera strain, and basically it mutates people, animals, nature, plants, everything, insects. Anything can be modified. Some of the modifications are minor. Some of the modifications completely warp a person, and in most cases they become more feral and, you know, kind of a zombie thing. I'm kind of mixing maybe zombies and the For Love and Monsters sort of movie. I love post-apocalyptic settings, so I'm going to be playing a character named Jeb, a 44-year-old nomad who just kind of goes around and survives in this world. Sometimes he takes part in safe haven life. If he stumbles on safe havens, he might hang out there for a while. He might help out the community, build up some supplies to continue on his journey and just keep on moving. Kind of a loner, but once in a while dips back into society, at least what's left of it. So that's the quick basic setting. If you guys want to make sure to like this video and subscribe, that's going to help out this channel, and let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these types of videos. But you haven't even seen this one yet, and I don't even know what's going to happen. I think this is going to run more like a choose your own adventure sort of scenario. I don't think the AI does too well in my playtesting attempts at creating sort of dice rolls and things like that. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, to be honest. So this could become a series. I might do different settings in whatever, maybe Dungeons and Dragons type setting, fantasy. We'll see. But I love dystopian post-apocalyptic futures. So without further ado, we're going to get into Chimera Wasteland RPG. That's what we're calling it. All right, here we go. I'm going to use this screen layout. I'm going to try to have AI generate some images as we go on in the story, and I'm going to interact as best as I can and make this as entertaining as possible. But just to give you a quick update here, I'm a nomad. My name is Jeb. I've got all these different stats: health, thirst, hunger, rest. So I think it tracks that kind of stuff. Currency, 15 scrip. I guess scrip is the currency in this world. My inventory, I have a hunting knife, water canteen, which is full. I've got jerky, 3 days worth, a threadbare bedroll, flint and steel, compass, tattered wasteland map. I've got skills in tracking, foraging, stealth, survival knowledge, animal handling, and wasteland navigation. So let's get this thing narrated.
The harsh morning sun beats down on your face as you wake in your makeshift camp. Your 44-year-old bones ache slightly as you sit up, running a hand through your short gray-white hair. Years of wandering have kept you fit, but the wasteland takes its toll on everyone eventually. You pack up your modest camp with the efficiency of a man who's done this countless times before. Your weathered hands work automatically while your mind wanders. It's been 3 days since you left the relative safety of the Green Vale after a disagreement with the settlement's council about resource allocation. Just another temporary home that didn't work out. As you adjust your pack, the morning light catches the long scar running down your left cheek, a souvenir from an encounter with a pack of mutated coyotes 2 winters ago. Just one of many stories written on your body from your years as a loner in the Chimera Wasteland. In the distance, you can see the twisted skyline of a ruined city, its buildings bent and warped by time, and the strange energies unleashed during the collapse. A thin trail of smoke rises from somewhere within. Your instincts tell you it could be survivors, maybe a potential trading opportunity. Or it could be something far worse. Your canteen is full, and you have enough jerky to last a few days, but supplies always run short out here. The stubble on your face itches slightly as you scratch it thoughtfully, weighing your options. What will you do, Jeb? Head toward the smoke in the ruined city? Avoid it and look for resources elsewhere? Or something else entirely?
I'm reluctant, but I am going to cautiously check things out.
Better to know what's out there than have it sneak up on me later, you mutter to yourself, adjusting the straps of your pack. With practiced movements, you stow your bedroll and secure your hunting knife at your hip. Your weathered boots leave barely a sound as you begin the approach toward the ruined city. Years of surviving the wasteland have taught you to move with purpose but without haste. The landscape gradually shifts as you travel. Scrubby wasteland gives way to the outskirts of what was once a suburban area. The houses stand like skeletons, their windows broken eyes staring emptily at you. Nature has begun to reclaim them. Not normal nature, but the twisted, mutated flora of the new world. Vines with thorns that seem to pulse with a sickly green glow wrap around collapsed roofs. A cluster of mushrooms growing from a rusted car hood emit a faint, eerie blue light. You pause at the crest of a small hill, crouching low to minimize your silhouette against the sky. From here, you can see the smoke more clearly now. It's coming from somewhere near the center of the former downtown area, perhaps 2 miles ahead. The thin gray column rises steadily, controlled, not the billowing black smoke of a wildfire or the erratic puffs of a signal fire. Movement catches your eye, something large shifting between buildings about a half-mile ahead. Too big to be human. It lumbers with an awkward gait, disappearing behind a collapsed department store before you can make out details. One of the wilds, no doubt, a mutated beast that's claimed this territory. You've been in enough situations like this to know the smartest approach is to circle around, find a vantage point, and observe before committing. There's a partially collapsed office building to the east that might provide a good overlook. As you consider your options, your ears pick up a faint sound carried on the wind. Voices. Human voices. What do you want to do, Jeb?
I'm going to go into the office building as quietly as I can, and I'm going to try to figure out what this beast is and how much of a threat I think it is. But at the same time, I'm also keeping an eye out for these human voices that I'm hearing, trying to pinpoint their location.
You move with the quiet confidence of a seasoned wasteland survivor, keeping low and using the abundant rubble for cover. Every few steps, you pause to listen and scan your surroundings. The office building looms ahead, a 5-story structure with its top 2 floors partially collapsed inward, creating a jagged silhouette against the sky. As you approach, you notice signs of the Chimera strain's impact on the local environment. The concrete at the building's foundation is cracked, with strange crystalline growths protruding in places. They shimmer with an oily iridescence when caught in the light. You know better than to touch them. Many survivors learned that lesson the hard way. Survival knowledge skill activated. You recognize these as shimmer crystals, a byproduct of the Chimera strain's interaction with certain building materials. Harmless at a distance, but contact can cause painful skin lesions. The building's lobby entrance is blocked by fallen debris, but you find a side door hanging off its hinges. You slip inside, your eyes adjusting to the dim interior. Dust motes dance in the beams of light streaming through broken windows. The air smells of mold, rust, and that indefinable scent that permeates all abandoned places. You make your way carefully up a service stairwell, testing each step before committing your weight. On the 3rd floor, you find what you're looking for, a corner office with large windows overlooking the direction of both the smoke and where you spotted the creature. Crouching behind a desk, you peer out cautiously. The smoke is coming from a collection of makeshift structures erected in what was once a city park. From this distance, you can make out perhaps a dozen small shacks and tents arranged in a rough circle. People move between them, actual humans, not ravaged. It appears to be a small survivor outpost, though not one of the established safe havens you've heard about. Movement draws your attention to the left. The creature you glimpsed earlier emerges from between 2 ruined buildings. From this vantage point, you can now see it clearly. Survival knowledge skill activated. It's what wasteland dwellers call a Duggernaut, a once-human ravage that has grown to enormous proportions. Standing nearly 10 feet tall, its massively muscled frame moves with surprising speed despite its bulk. Its skin is hardened into natural armor plates in places, and one arm has grown disproportionately large, ending in what looks like a bony club. Its face retains just enough human features to make it disturbing, a stretched and distorted parody of humanity. The Juggernaut seems to be patrolling a territory that includes several blocks around the survivor camp. But interestingly, it doesn't approach the camp itself. As you watch, you hear those human voices again, clearer now. They're coming from a floor below you, perhaps another group entirely, separate from the camp you've spotted. Told you this was a bad idea. 3 days without finding, a harsh male voice says. Keep it down, a woman's voice hisses. Those camp folks ain't the only things around here. That big bastard is still out there. What do you want to do, Jeb?
I work my way down a floor slowly, trying to catch a glimpse of these voices and who they might be. I'm not ready to approach the camp yet until I observe further, but for now, I don't want anybody coming up behind me.
With the silent grace earned from years in the Wasteland, you ease back from the window and make your way toward the stairwell. Your boots barely make a sound on the debris-strewn floor as you move. The stairwell is dimly lit, with only slivers of light filtering through small windows caked with grime. You descend cautiously, testing each step before putting your full weight down. The voices grow louder as you reach the second-floor landing. "And I'm telling you, we should just approach them directly," the woman's voice says, sounding frustrated. "After what happened at the Ironclad? Not a chance," replies the man. "We watch first. Make sure they're not like the others." You edge along the wall toward an open doorway where the voices are coming from. Peering around the corner, you spot them, a man and woman huddled near a window on the opposite side of what was once an open office space. They've set up a small observation post, complete with a pair of battered binoculars and what looks like a hand-drawn map spread between them. The man is tall and lanky, perhaps in his early 30s, with a patchy beard and a red bandana tied around his head. He wears mismatched armor pieces, a leather pauldron on one shoulder, a metal plate on the other. A machete hangs at his hip. The woman appears older, maybe late 40s, with dark hair streaked with gray pulled back in a tight bun. She's dressed more practically in what looks like pre-collapse hiking gear, faded but well-maintained. A rifle is propped against the wall beside her. Their packs and supplies are neatly arranged against the wall. They've clearly been here at least a day or two. A small solar charger sits in a patch of sunlight near the window, connected to what might be a communications device. 3 days watching that camp, the woman sighs, rubbing her eyes. They've got children there, Mac. Real children. And food growing. They're not raiders. And raiders can have kids too, the man, apparently Mac, responds, though he sounds less convinced than before. And did you see how that monster just walks around them? Never comes close? That ain't natural. Something's weird about this place. They haven't noticed you yet. From your position, you could slip away undetected, approach them directly, or continue observing. What do you want to do, Jeb?
I move up to the door edge, and without entering the room, I prepare my hunting knife in case I get into a fight, but I call out in a calm manner, and I say, "I'm not trying to creep up on you guys, but I heard some voices and I had to be cautious. It's just me. My name is Jeb, and I'm just here investigating as it appears you are. Now can we calmly have a conversation?"
The moment your voice breaks the silence, both figures react with practiced speed. The woman snatches up her rifle in one fluid motion while the man, Mac, draws his machete and positions himself between you and their supplies. "Stay right where you are," the woman commands, rifle aimed steadily in your direction. Her eyes narrow as she evaluates the threat you might pose. You remain at the doorway, hunting knife visible but held non-threateningly at your side. A tense moment passes as they assess you. A lone, weathered wasteland traveler who doesn't immediately look like a raider or a threat. Mac speaks first, machete still raised. "How long you been listening, old-timer?" The woman keeps her rifle trained on you but tilts her head slightly. "Jeb, is it? You alone?" You nod calmly, keeping your movements slow and deliberate. "Just me. Been wandering these parts. Saw the smoke, same as you probably did." The woman and Mac exchange a quick glance. Something in your demeanor, perhaps the calm certainty that comes only from years of wasteland survival, seems to ease their tension slightly. "Pat him down, Mac," the woman orders, still cautious. Mac approaches warily, machete lowered but still ready. "Arms out, stranger." After a quick but thorough search reveals no hidden weapons beyond your knife, the tension in the room noticeably decreases. The woman lowers her rifle slightly, though she keeps it ready. "I'm Eliza," she finally says. "'Tis jumpy one is Mac." We're scouts from New Arcadia, about 60 miles south of here. Mac returns to his position by the window, though he keeps a suspicious eye on you. Never seen you at New Arcadia. Where you coming from? "Oh, we don't mean any trouble," Eliza adds, her voice firm but less hostile. "Just observing that settlement and trying to figure out what's going on with that creature." The solar-powered device on the floor emits a soft beep, drawing a momentary glance from Eliza. "So, Jeb," she continues, "so what's your interest in that camp down there? You looking to join up or just passing through? How do you want to respond to Eliza and Mac?"
I'm just passing through. I saw some smoke in the distance and I thought I'd investigate. You never know these days when you're gonna need your next supplies or what's gonna come your way. So I went and investigated. I saw the Juggernaut. That's at least what we call that big creature. And I got a little closer and found out there's a bit of a camp here. But I don't think it's a safe haven. Maybe it's just another group of nomads like me traveling together. I'm not sure exactly what to do, but I heard you guys talking. Thought I'd at least investigate and see what I thought of you. Seems like you guys are trying to assess the situation as well, and I thought maybe we could approach together, as usually there's safety in numbers or whatever safety we can have these days. I don't know if this place sees the Juggernaut. I can't imagine they haven't. Maybe they've already battled it, or maybe it's just swarming around, getting ready to attack. I don't know, but I try to help if I can. So what are you guys doing?
As you finish speaking, Eliza and Mac exchange glances. Something in your forthright manner seems to resonate with them. Eliza fully lowers her rifle now, though she keeps it within easy reach. "You've got a good eye," Eliza says, nodding appreciatively. "And you're right about that beast. We call them juggernauts, too." She gestures toward the window. "But this one, it's behaving oddly." Max snorts, relaxing his stance slightly, but odd is putting it mildly. "That thing should have torn through that camp days ago. Instead, it's like..." He searches for the right words, like it's guarding them or something. Eliza moves to the window and motions for you to join her. You approach cautiously, keeping a respectful distance. From this vantage point, you can see both the settlement and, in the distance, the lumbering form of the Juggernaut. "See that?" Eliza points to the settlement's perimeter. No real defenses, just some scrap metal walls that wouldn't stop a determined dog, let alone that monster. Yet they're thriving, growing food, raising children, in Juggernaut territory. Mac leans against a desk, his machete now sheathed. "We're from New Arcadia. It's a decent-sized settlement with walls, guards, the works. Been stable for about 5 years now. When we heard rumors about a new settlement with some kind of protection against the ravaged, our council sent us to investigate," Eliza continues. "We've lost 3 outposts to juggernauts in the past year. If these people have found a way to coexist with one," she leaves the implication hanging. The solar-powered device beeps again. Mac goes over and fiddles with it. "Radio tracker," he explains, noticing your interest. "Keeps tabs on major ravaged movements in the area. New Arcadia tech. Not perfect, but better than nothing." Eliza studies you with a thoughtful expression. "You look like you've been on the road a long time, Jeb. A nomad who's seen his share of the Wasteland." She hesitates, then adds, "We've been watching for 3 days and haven't made much progress. You're right about safety in numbers, and sometimes a fresh perspective helps." She straightens up, making a decision. "A plan was to approach tomorrow at dawn. Less chance of hostility if we come openly in daylight. If you're willing to join us, we could use another set of eyes and hands. Someone who knows how to handle themselves." Mac looks less convinced. "How do we know we can trust him? No offense, old-timer, but these days nobody trusts anybody." "I get it," you respond. Eliza reaches into her pack and pulls out a dried meat strip, offering it to you. "Peace offering. It's venison, not mystery meat. Promise. A small gesture of goodwill in the Wasteland." "So, what do you say?" she asks. "Join forces for a day or two? Or are you set on going your own way? What do you want to do, Jeb?"
A Juggernaut that doesn't attack. You've been watching them for 3 days and it hasn't done a thing? I'm curious, if nothing else, to see how this plays out. I think we could join forces and approach in the morning. I think that sounds like a good idea. So let's see what happens. And I appreciate the jerky. It's hard to come by food out here when you're on your own sometimes.
You accept the jerky with a nod of thanks, taking a bite. It's good. Properly cured and seasoned with what might be wild herbs. Definitely better than most of what passes for food in the Wasteland. "Good call," Eliza says with a hint of a smile. "I'm curious too. Never seen anything like it in all my years out here." Mac seems to relax a bit more, though watchfulness remains in his eyes, the natural state of any wasteland survivor. If you're coming with us tomorrow, you might as well make yourself comfortable. No sense in setting up another post nearby. The afternoon transitions into evening as you share the small observation post with your new temporary allies. They rearrange their supplies to make room for your bedroll. The three of you take turns keeping watch while the others rest, a familiar routine for anyone who's survived this long. During your watch, Eliza sits up and joins you by the window, handing you a metal cup containing what smells like pine needle tea. "Been on the road long?" she asks quietly, so as not to wake Mac, who's snoring softly across the room. "Longer than I care to count sometimes," you admit. She nods, understanding. "I was born after the collapse, never knew the old world." Mac claims he remembers it a little, but I think he was too young. She studies the settlement below, now lit with a few small fires. "You ever seen anything like this before? People and ravaged coexisting?" As night deepens, you observe the settlement more closely. The Juggernaut continues its patrol around the area, but at night it seems to draw closer to the settlement without actually entering it. When smaller ravaged, what look like stalkers with their elongated limbs and hunched postures approach from the east, the Juggernaut intercepts and drives them away. "It's protecting them," Mac murmurs, having woken for his watch. But why? Morning arrives with the pale light of dawn. The three of you prepare to approach the settlement, gathering your essentials and leaving behind anything unnecessary. Eliza checks her rifle while Mac secures his pack. "We'll approach openly from the main road," Eliza explains, pointing to a map. "Hands visible, weapons sheathed but accessible. These folks have survived this long, so they're either well armed or have something else keeping them safe." She looks at you. "Any thoughts on our approach, Jeb? You've probably dealt with all sorts of settlements in your travels. What do you want to do or say, Jeb?"
Well, I think we're going to have to approach in the open daylight. We can probably hold our guns and weapons, but we can't make it look like we're a threat. So I would approach cautiously, keeping ourselves visible, but also keep an eye on that Juggernaut. Let's try to be on the opposite side of the camp that the Juggernaut is, and approach as cautiously as we can, keeping an eye out and hope somebody approaches us, because I think that's going to be the best case scenario for us to get in there and make first contact. You guys seem to have your agenda on learning about that Juggernaut, which, truth be told, I wouldn't mind figuring out what's going on there. But I'm also just looking to supply up and keep surviving, maybe see if they need any help or see if they're willing to trade or maybe give me a job that I can do for them and maybe earn a little bit of food before moving on.
Eliza nods approvingly at your suggestion. Point sat solid thinking, visible but cautious, and positioning away from the Juggernaut gives us better options if things go south. Makes sense, Mac agrees, checking the location of the Juggernaut through the binoculars. Big guy's currently on the northwest side of the settlement. We can circle around and approach from the southeast. The three of you gather your gear and make final preparations. Eliza slings her rifle over her shoulder rather than holding it ready, a deliberate choice to appear less threatening. Mac adjusts his pack so his machete remains accessible but not prominently displayed. "Prayed ready?" Eliza asks, looking between you and Mac. You descend from the office building, moving carefully through the abandoned streets. The morning air carries a chill that will burn off once the sun rises higher. Occasional sounds echo through the ruins, distant creaks of settling buildings, the skittering of small mutated creatures, the whisper of toxic winds through broken windows. Circling around to approach from the southeast takes nearly an hour. You pass several signs of recent scavenging, buildings with fresh entry marks, recently disturbed debris, likely the settlement's work. As you near the outskirts of the settlement, you get your first close look at it. What from a distance appeared to be just a collection of shacks reveals itself as a more organized community than expected. The structures are mostly repurposed materials, shipping containers, sections of pre-collapse buildings, and scrap metal, but they're arranged with purpose. A central area contains what looks like communal cooking spaces and several plots of cultivated land. The outer structures form a rough perimeter, though as Eliza noted earlier, it wouldn't stop a determined attacker. You spot several people moving about, men and women in practical wasteland attire, and indeed, a few children. A larger figure stands atop a platform near the center, a lookout, likely. "They've spotted us," Mac murmurs as the lookout turns in your direction and raises something to their face, binoculars or a scope. Within moments, there's movement at the edge of the settlement. 3 figures emerge and begin walking toward your group. They stop about 50 yards out, waiting. "That's our invitation," Eliza says quietly. Oh, and remember, we're just curious travelers looking for trade and information. Let's not mention New Arcadia unless they seem friendly. The three of you approach slowly, hands visible. As you get closer, you can make out the waiting party, 2 men and a woman. The woman stands slightly ahead of the others, marking her as the likely leader. She's middle-aged with sun-weathered skin and sharp eyes that miss nothing. She wears practical clothes patched in multiple places and has a holstered pistol at her hip. One of the men holds a hunting rifle casually pointed downward, while the other carries what looks like a modified tool, perhaps a repurposed agricultural implement turned weapon. That's far enough, the woman calls when you're about 20 yards away. Her voice is firm but not immediately hostile. State your business. How do you want to respond, Jeb?
Hello, ma'am. My name is Jeb, and I'm here with Eliza and Mac. We don't want any trouble. We just saw some smoke from the distance, and to be honest, we saw that juggernaut. Got a little bit curious. At first we thought you were being attacked, and then realized after some observance that it seems you have some sort of relationship with this juggernaut, where it seems to be protecting you maybe. Anyways, we're just curious for maybe some information if you're willing to give it, and possibly some supplies if you have them. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to do a job. I'm a nomad. I've got survival skills. We're just passing through, not looking for trouble.
The woman's expression shifts subtly as you mention the juggernaut. A fleeting look of wariness crosses her face before her features settle back into careful neutrality. She studies the three of you for a long moment, gaze lingering on each face. "I'm Marion," she finally says. "This is Decker and Rove." She gestures to the men beside her. Decker, holding the rifle, is a stocky man with close-cropped gray hair and a burn scar covering one side of his neck. Rove is younger, perhaps in his 20s, with watchful eyes and what appears to be some kind of modified harvesting tool fashioned into a weapon. Marion takes a half step forward. Most people who spot our guardian don't stick around to ask questions. They run. Her eyes narrow slightly, or they come back with others, thinking we must have something worth taking. Decker shifts his weight, adjusting his grip on his rifle. "3 days," he says gruffly. "You've been watching us for 3 days from that office building." Your group exchanges surprised glances. Marion's mouth quirks in a small, humorless smile. "We've survived this long for a reason," she says. "We know what happens around our home." She looks pointedly at Eliza's rifle, then back to you. "And right about one thing, though. We do have a relationship, as you put it, with the ravaged you call a juggernaut. We call him the Guardian." She seems to make a decision. "And how you haven't come at us shooting, which puts you ahead of the last group that discovered us. If you're genuinely just curious and looking for supplies." She pauses, considering. "I could use extra hands." Rove speaks up, his voice unexpectedly deep for his youthful appearance. "The western garden needs tending, and we lost Javi last week when he—" "That's enough, Rove." Marion cuts him off, giving him a warning look. She turns back to your group. "Here's what I'll offer. You three can come in, rest up. We can talk trade, but your weapons stay holstered, and you don't go anywhere in the settlement without one of us accompanying you." Her expression hardens, and the Guardian is off limits. "You don't approach it, you don't try to study it, you don't talk about it to anyone but me. Break these rules, and you're out. Or worse. Understood?" Eliza nods, maintaining a respectful demeanor. "Perfectly clear. We appreciate the hospitality. And just so we're clear," Marion adds, "we've got eyes on you the whole time. Our perimeter might not look like much, but we've got other protections." She doesn't elaborate on what those might be. Mac looks like he wants to ask something but restrains himself. "Well," Marion prompts, looking directly at you, "those are my terms. Take them or continue on your way. What do you want to do, Jeb?"
Well, Marion, that sounds perfectly reasonable. We're not here to make trouble, and that's why we did approach you the way we did. I understand that it's tough to trust people in this world. Trust me, I don't trust many. But once in a while, when we need to dip back into society, well, you gotta take chances. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I've got my friends, Eliza and Mac, with me. We would like to talk to you about your guardian, if you wouldn't mind. But I'm willing to do a little work first. Sounds like you need some help in a field or something. Why don't you lead the way and see what we can get done?
Marion nods, a hint of approval in her eyes at your pragmatic response. "And smart approach," she says, then gestures toward the settlement. "Come on then." As your group follows Marion and her companions, you notice Decker positioning himself behind your group, keeping watch, no doubt. Rove walks alongside, occasionally glancing at you with undisguised curiosity. "Been on the road long?" he asks in a low voice. "Longer than I can remember sometimes," you reply honestly. He nods. Oops, we get that. Most of us were nomads before the Guardian. As you approach the settlement, you get a closer look at what they've built. What appeared makeshift from a distance reveals thoughtful construction up close. The buildings, repurposed shipping containers, old trucks, and scavenged materials are arranged in concentric circles around a central communal area. Small gardens fill any available space, with plants you recognize as both food crops and medicinal herbs. Solar panels, rigged with what looks like handmade wiring, top several structures. People pause in their activities to watch your arrival. You count about 20 adults and perhaps 7 or 8 children. Their reaction to strangers is telling: caution rather than fear, watchfulness rather than panic. These are people who feel relatively secure despite the wasteland around them. Marion leads you through the settlement to an area on the western side where several garden plots stretch out. Some contain recognizable vegetables, tomatoes, carrots, beans, while others grow plants you don't immediately identify, likely adapted to post-collapse conditions. This is our main food source, Marion explains, and we've been expanding it but lost some hands recently. She doesn't elaborate on how they were lost. An older man with a pronounced limp approaches, carrying several tools. These the newcomers? He asks Marion directly, not bothering to address you. Yes, Otto. They've offered to help with the western plots, Otto grunts, giving your group an appraising look. Good. We're behind on the weeding and the irrigation needs checking. He hands each of you tools, a short hoe for you, pruning shears for Eliza, and a small spade for Mac. Know anything about farming? Otto asks you directly. Enough to get by, you reply. Sen grew up tending plots outside Eastlands before it fell. This seems to satisfy him. Gardens divided into sections. Weeds need pulling from the bean plot, tomatoes need staking, and the irrigation channels need clearing. Water's precious here. Can't waste a drop. Marion nods to a nearby water barrel. There's clean water there when you need it. Work until midday, then we'll talk more. She lowers her voice slightly, just for your group to hear. Do well, and I might answer some of those questions you're carrying. As Marion and Decker leave, Otto directs you to your tasks. The work is familiar to anyone who survived in the wasteland hard but necessary labor under the strengthening morning sun. While you work, you notice a few things about the settlement. Despite the apparent peace, everyone carries weapons, even the older children. People occasionally glance northwest, toward where you know the Guardian roams. There's a larger structure at the center of the settlement that seems more fortified than the others. After about an hour of work, when your shirt is already damp with sweat, Rove brings over a pitcher of water and cups. So, he says conversationally as he pours, to where were you folks headed before you spotted us? How do you want to respond to Rove? And is there anything specific you want to focus on while working?
Well, I can only speak for myself, as I've just met my companions as we came to approach this town, but I'm a nomad. I've been roaming around for all my life, pretty much. I don't know why, I just never feel like settling down anywhere. This world's too crazy. Just feels like I need to keep moving. So I was just moving. I spotted some smoke in the distance. Figured, well, may as well check it out. I'm not scared of people, but cautious like everybody. And we still need each other to get by, so I'm willing to do work as needed. And it helps get me some supplies to keep moving when the time comes to move. While I work, I just want to lightly observe the Guardian and try to understand what it does throughout the day.
Rove nods as he hands you a cup of water, which you gratefully accept. The water is surprisingly clean, likely filtered through one of the settlement systems. I get that, he says, leaning on his tool. On a nomadic life. That was me before I found this place. 3 years on the road after my family's settlement got overrun by ravaged. He glances around at the gardens. Never thought I'd put down roots again, but this place is different. As you continue working, pulling weeds and clearing irrigation channels, you keep one eye on the northwestern perimeter. The Guardian, the Juggernaut, is visible occasionally as it makes its rounds. From this distance and angle, you can observe more details than before. The creature stands at least 12 feet tall, with the characteristic muscular build and armored hide of all juggernauts. Its skin has a mottled gray-green coloration, and what appears to be some kind of fungal growth along its shoulders and back. Unlike other juggernauts you've encountered, it moves with a strange deliberateness, less frenzied, more purposeful. At one point, it turns toward the settlement, and you catch a glimpse of its face. The distinctive feature that separates juggernauts from other ravaged, the fused, almost melted-looking facial features, seems different on this one. There's a pattern to the fusion, almost like intentional scarification rather than random mutation. You're watching Guardian, Otto says gruffly beside you, startling you from your observations. He's been quietly working nearby. Everyone does when they first arrive. You return to your weeding, but Otto continues in a low voice. "Been with us 3 years now. Showed up after a raid from the north. Bunch of scavengers tried to take what we had. Would have succeeded too." He pauses, digging his tool into the soil with more force than necessary. A guardian tore through them like they were paper. But when it got to us, it just stopped. Watched us. Left us be. Otto straightens with a wince, one hand going to his lower back. Marion figured it out first. The connection. After that, we made an arrangement of sorts. Before you can ask what he means, a bell rings from the center of the settlement. Otto nods toward it. Midday meal. You've earned it. You work well for a drifter. As you make your way to the central area with Eliza and Mac, you notice the settlement coming alive with activity. People gather around several cooking fires where pots simmer with what smells like vegetable stew. Children run between the adults, some assigned to carrying water or utensils. Marion approaches your group, appraising the work you've done with a critical eye. After a moment, she gives a small nod of approval. "You haven't wasted our resources," she says, which seems to be high praise from her. "Come, eat with us. Afterward, we can talk." You're led to a circular arrangement of seats, mostly repurposed crates and salvaged chairs, around one of the cooking fires. A woman stirs a large pot, ladling stew into mismatched bowls. The smell is hearty and inviting. Root vegetables, wild herbs, and what might be some form of protein. Though not meat you recognize immediately. As bowls are passed around, Marion takes a seat across from you. "So," she says, after everyone has begun eating, "and you've got questions about Guardian. I can see it in your eyes." Everyone does. Eliza speaks up carefully. "It's unusual. The Ravaged don't typically coexist with humans." Marion's expression darkens slightly. "No, they don't. And I'm not about to broadcast how we've managed this arrangement. Information like that gets communities destroyed. We're not looking to cause trouble," you assure her, "just trying to understand." Marion studies you for a long moment, then glances at something over your shoulder. You turn slightly to see the Guardian visible in the distance, its massive form silhouetted against the horizon. "Guardian protects us," she says simply. "In return, we provide certain things." Decker, sitting nearby, clears his throat in what sounds like a warning. Marion gives him a look but continues. "I'll tell you this much. The Ravaged aren't mindless. Not completely. There are patterns, behaviors, even a kind of intelligence. Most people never live long enough around them to notice." She takes a spoonful of stew. "And Guardian was different from the start. It recognized something in us. Or someone. What do you want to do or say next, Jeb?"
What do you provide it? I respond. And what have you learned from it? I've just never seen anything like this in all my years of wandering this wasteland. What sort of relationship do you have with it?
Your direct question creates a palpable tension around the fire. Several of the settlement members exchange glances. Decker's face hardens, but Marion raises a hand slightly, silencing whatever objection he was about to voice. Marion sets her bowl down carefully. Her eyes meet yours, searching, evaluating your trustworthiness. "Blood," she says finally, her voice quiet but unwavering. "We provide blood." A heavy silence follows her words. Eliza shifts uncomfortably beside you, while Mac's hand subtly moves closer to his concealed weapon. "Not like that," Marion adds, noticing the reactions. "We're not murderers or sacrificing people, if that's what you're thinking." An older woman sitting nearby speaks up, her voice carrying the distinctive cadence of someone who was educated before the collapse. "I was a medical researcher. Before, what we discovered is that the Ravaged respond to certain chemical signals in human blood. Most particularly, they're drawn to fear pheromones and stress hormones." Marion nods. "Pente is Dr. Sarah. She helped us understand what was happening with Guardian. And Guardian appears to have developed a form of symbiotic recognition." Dr. Sarah continues. "We provide small blood donations, voluntarily given, drawn safely, once a month, just a vial each from willing adults. We mix it together and leave it at a designated spot outside the settlement. And in return, it protects you, you say, understanding beginning to dawn." "Yes," Marion confirms. "But there's more to it. Guardian specifically responds to our collective chemical signature now. It recognizes us as its people, for lack of a better term. It hunts Ravaged that enter its territory and keeps other human raiders away." Rove, who has been listening quietly, adds, "It started with Kira. She was the first to understand." Marion shoots him a warning look, but he continues, lowering his voice. "Kira was injured during that raid 3 years ago. Bad, bleeding out. Guardian approached her, and everyone thought she was done for. Instead, it inspected her blood, tasted it. Then it turned on the raiders and ignored us completely. Dr. Sarah nods thoughtfully. My theory is that something in her blood chemistry, perhaps unique antibodies or hormone levels, triggered a recognition response. After that, we began experimenting cautiously with blood donations, and the relationship evolved. Where is Kira now, you ask, looking around the circle. Another uncomfortable silence falls. Marion's face becomes a careful mask. She's still with us, she says eventually. But her condition is complicated. The initial encounter changed her in ways we're still trying to understand. Decker stands abruptly. This is enough. We've said too much already. He looks pointedly at Marion. These are outsiders. We don't know them. Marion sighs. Decker lost his brother to raiders last year. He has reason to be cautious. She turns back to you. What we have here is fragile. If word spreads about our arrangement with Guardian, we could face threats from all sides, desperate people wanting protection, researchers wanting to experiment, or zealots who think we're defying nature. She leans forward, intensity in her eyes. So now you know our secret. The question is, what do you intend to do with this information? Eliza speaks up, her tone careful. We're just trying to understand. Where I come from, people are losing hope against the ravaged. If there's a way to coexist. It's not coexistence. Decker cuts in harshly. It's an arrangement, a dangerous one. And it might not last forever. Marion studies your group carefully. You've been honest and helpful so far, but trust is earned slowly here. She stands up. Finish your meal. Then I'll show you something that might help you understand better. If you're still interested. What do you want to do or say, Jeb?
I'll be honest, this is a lot to take in, and you've shared quite a bit with us, and you don't seem to want this information to get out there, so I'm a little bit concerned about my own safety. But if you're willing to continue to share more, I'm willing to learn more, and I am interested, so why don't you lead the way?
Marion's expression softens slightly at your candid response. Your concern is valid, she acknowledges. But if we wanted to harm you, we wouldn't be sharing our biggest secret. Decker makes a disapproving sound but doesn't speak up again. Several of the other settlers are watching carefully, their meals momentarily forgotten. I appreciate your honesty, Marion continues, meeting your eyes. And your interest. Most outsiders would have either fled by now or tried to exploit what they've learned. She finishes her stew and sets the bowl aside. Finish eating. You'll need your strength. As you complete your meal, you notice Eliza and Mac exchanging meaningful glances. When everyone has finished, Marion stands and motions for your group to follow. Just you three and me, she says firmly when Decker starts to rise. Then they've earned this much. Marion leads you through the settlement, past curious onlookers, toward the more fortified central structure you noticed earlier. Up close, you can see it's a repurposed medical building, perhaps once a small clinic or research facility. The windows are reinforced with metal grating, and the entrance has been modified with a heavy door that requires Marion to enter a combination on a makeshift lock. This was a Genetech satellite research facility, she explains as she works the lock, one of their smaller outposts. Mostly abandoned when the collapse hit, but some equipment remained functional. The door swings open with a metallic groan, revealing a dimly lit interior. Solar-powered lights flicker on as you enter, illuminating what was once a medical research space. Laboratory equipment, much of it repurposed or jury-rigged, lines the walls. Dr. Sarah is already inside, checking readings on what appears to be a modified monitoring system. You arrive just in time, Dr. Sarah says without looking up. She's having a good day. Marion nods, then turns to your group. What you're about to see stays in this room. Understood? After you all agree, she leads you through a doorway into what was once a patient room. The space has been converted into a combination living quarters and medical observation area. Medical monitors display vital signs, and an IV stand holds a bag of clear fluid. In the center of the room, sitting in a wheelchair by a window that overlooks the settlement, is a woman. She appears to be in her 30s, with dark hair streaked prematurely with gray. At first glance, she seems normal, if somewhat pale and thin. But as she turns to look at you, you notice disturbing details, faint gray-green mottling on the skin of her neck, partially hidden by her clothing, and her eyes. Her irises have an unusual pattern, almost like they're fractured into segments. "This is Kira," Marion says quietly, the first to make contact with Guardian. Kira studies your group with an intensity that's unsettling. When she speaks, her voice is raspy but clear. "New people. You've seen Guardian. It's not a question." Kira was badly injured during a raid 3 years ago, Marion explains. A Guardian approached her while she was bleeding out. Instead of killing her, it interacted with her blood. Since then, she's been changing. Becoming something new, Kira interjects, a strange smile playing on her lips, neither fully human nor ravaged. The mutation is slow but progressive, Dr. Sarah explains, checking one of the monitors. Her blood chemistry is extraordinary. It contains components we've never seen before, elements similar to what we've found in ravaged tissue samples but reconfigured in ways that don't immediately destroy human cells. I can feel Guardian, Kira says, her gaze now fixed on you specifically. Not all the time. Its presence, its intentions. It's how we communicate. You notice Mac and Eliza have both gone very still, processing the implications of what they're seeing. She's our link to Guardian, Marion explains. Through her, we've established our arrangement. The blood donations reinforce the connection. And I'm changing, Kira adds, with that same unsettling smile. Becoming something else, something that might bridge the gap between humanity and what comes after. We're monitoring the progression carefully, Dr. Sarah assures you, perhaps noticing your expression. Kira is here voluntarily. We're learning from her condition while trying to ensure she remains herself. Kira tilts her head, studying you with those fractured eyes. You have questions. Ask them. I can feel your curiosity. And your fear. What do you want to ask or do, Jeb?
This whole thing is beyond anything I ever thought I would run into when I approached this place. So what is going on exactly? Are you turning into a ravaged? What do you mean you can feel him? I mean, at this point in this world, nothing would surprise me, but I'm trying to understand.
Kira's strange, segmented eyes fix on you. Something about her gaze makes you feel exposed, as if she can see beyond your surface thoughts. She smiles, a gesture that should be reassuring, but instead highlights how her facial movements don't quite match normal human expressions anymore. I'm not turning into a ravaged, she says, her raspy voice surprisingly patient. At least, not exactly. I'm transforming into something else. Something between. She raises her hand, and you notice the skin has a subtle translucency to it, with faint traceries of something darker running beneath the surface. Not quite veins, not quite the fungal pattern seen on Ravaged. When Guardian tasted my blood, she continues, something passed between us. A recognition, like pieces of a puzzle clicking together. She pauses, searching for words. Have you ever had a moment where you suddenly understood something completely, without anyone explaining it? That clarity? You nod, and she continues, it was like that, but with Guardian's entire being. In that moment, I understood what it was, what drove it, and it understood me. The Dr. Sarah steps forward, clipboard in hand. From what we can determine, there was a molecular exchange during the contact. Components in the ravaged biology, what we believe might be engineered retroviruses from the Chimera program, entered Kira's bloodstream. But instead of the usual conversion process that creates ravaged, something different happened. My immune system didn't fight it off, Kira explains. But it didn't succumb either. It adapted, incorporated, and now I'm changing in ways that seem to be controlled, directed. As for feeling Guardian, she continues, it's not like hearing thoughts. It's more impressions, intentions, emotions, if you can call them that. I sense when it's agitated, when it's hunting, when it's satisfied. She looks out the window toward where Guardian patrols in the distance. And sometimes I can direct those impressions. Suggest rather than command. Marion speaks up. Kira's connection is how we established our arrangement. She helped us understand what Guardian wanted and helped Guardian understand what we needed, which is, you prompt. Survival, Kira says simply. Once a Guardian was once human too, you know, before the Chimera program transformed it. Some core of that humanity remains, buried deep. What drives it now is complex territorial instinct, predatory impulse, but also protection. It sees us as its tribe, I suppose. Its people. She turns back to you. Can blood donations reinforce that connection? They contain chemical markers Guardian recognizes as us. The community scent, if you will. And you? Eliza asks quietly. What happens to you as this progresses? Kira's expression grows more somber. I don't know. I'm changing more each month. Gaining abilities, enhanced senses, strength when I'm not too weak from the transformation, but losing things too. Memories sometimes, certain emotional responses. Dr. Sarah interjects, and we're trying to balance the progression, slow it when it seems too rapid, study it when it's stable. The medication helps, she gestures to the IV, but it's experimental at best. Does it hurt, you ask, the question coming unbidden. Kira's gaze softens slightly. Yes, she says simply, but it's worth it. This community survives because of what I've become. What I'm becoming. There's something else, Marion says, her voice dropping. something we've only recently confirmed. She looks to Dr. Sarah, who nods reluctantly. The blood donations don't just reinforce Guardian's connection to us, Marion continues. They're changing our biology too. Minimally, subtly, but measurably. Dr. Sarah has found trace markers in all of us similar to what's in Kira's blood, but at much lower concentrations. We're all part of whatever this is, Kira says, a strange intensity in her fractured gaze. And the beginning of something new. Not quite human, not ravaged, maybe the next step in surviving this broken world. The room falls silent as the implications sink in. This small settlement isn't just coexisting with a ravaged, they're slowly becoming something else altogether. So now you understand why this information can't leave this room, Marion says quietly. If the wrong people learned what's happening here, they'd destroy us, Kira finishes. Or worse, try to replicate it without understanding it. She leans forward in her wheelchair, her strange eyes locked on yours. Now that you know, Jeb, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you carry our secret, or does it frighten you too much? What do you want to say or do, Jeb?
The truth is, this story is unlike anything I've ever heard, but I'm a nomad. I can't promise I'm going to keep your secret. If it comes up relevant at some point, I may share it, but I don't have to share where you are or who you are, and I may never share it. But I think it's worth noting and telling somebody out in the world so they at least understand there could be another way. Honestly, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I'm just a nomad. Now, I can't speak for my friends here. You'll have to ask them, but that's the honest answer that I can give you. I can't make you any promises, but what I can tell you is that if it ever comes up relevant to bring this topic up and share this story, I don't need to share who you are or where you are, just the what and how.
Your honest answer hangs in the air between you and the settlement leaders. The tension in the room shifts, not necessarily increasing, but changing in nature. Marion's expression tightens slightly, but there's also a flicker of respect in her eyes at your refusal to make empty promises. Kira, surprisingly, is the first to respond. A soft, raspy laugh escapes her. "Honesty," she says, nodding slowly. "That's rare enough to be valuable." Dr. Sarah and Marion exchange glances, communicating silently in the way of people who have worked closely together for years. "I appreciate that you didn't lie," Marion finally says. "Many would have told us what we wanted to hear, then done whatever they pleased once beyond our reach." From the doorway, Decker's voice cuts in, which is exactly why they can't leave now. He's standing there, rifle not quite pointed at you but held ready, his expression hard. Not with what they know. Eliza tenses beside you, hand drifting subtly toward her concealed weapon. Mac remains still, but you can feel him coiled like a spring, ready to move. "Decker," Marion says sharply, "we discussed this. We discussed the possibility," he counters. "Now we're facing the reality. He just told us he plans to spread our story." "That's not what I said," you interject calmly, keeping your hands visible and non-threatening. "And said I couldn't promise never to speak of it." There's a difference. Kira's strange eyes remain fixed on you, studying your face with unnerving intensity. He's telling the truth as he sees it," she says with quiet certainty. "He has no malicious intent. Intent doesn't matter if the outcome is the same," Decker argues. "If word spreads, then it spreads." Marion cuts him off. "We've always known this arrangement might not last forever." Dr. Sarah steps forward. "Perhaps there's a middle path. Information without identification. The concept without the specifics." Marion considers this, then nods slowly. "A knowledge of what's possible without directions to our doorstep." She turns to face your group fully. "So what we've built here is fragile. Not just our settlement, but this new understanding of what humanity might become in this changed world. If you do share our story," she pauses, choosing her words carefully, "consider the consequences, not just for us, but for everyone." Kira wheels her chair closer to you. When she speaks, her voice has a strange, compelling quality that wasn't there before. "I can feel your integrity, Jeb. You're a wanderer not just in body, but in spirit, seeking, always seeking." She tilts her head, those fractured eyes seeming to see through you. "Perhaps that's why you were drawn here. Perhaps there's purpose in your learning our secret." Her hand reaches out. You notice the fingers are slightly longer than they should be. The joint's not quite human anymore, and hovers near yours without touching. "If you speak of us, speak truthfully. Not of monsters and miracles, but of adaptation, of survival, of finding new paths when old ones fail." Dr. Sarah clears her throat. Kira needs rest now. This much interaction is taxing. Marion nods, gesturing toward the door. "We should continue this discussion elsewhere." As you prepare to leave the room, Kira calls out one last thing. "Pull, Jeb." When you turn back, she's smiling that strange, not quite human smile. The world is changing faster than most realize. We're just the beginning. Outside in the main laboratory area, Marion faces your group. Decker remains by the doorway, tension evident in his posture. You've seen something few outsiders ever have, she says. Now we need to decide what happens next. Are we prisoners? Mac asks bluntly, speaking up for the first time since entering the facility. Marion shakes her head. No, but we need assurances before you leave. Or at least an understanding. What kind of assurances? Eliza asks cautiously. Marion looks at each of you in turn, her gaze lingering on you last. Stay with us for a few days. Work alongside us. Let us get to know you better, and you us. If, after that time, we feel we can trust you, or at least trust your discretion, you'll be free to go with our blessing and some supplies for your journey. And if not, you ask, though you suspect you know the answer. Marion's expression remains neutral. Let's focus on building that trust instead of considering alternatives. The implication is clear enough. Do we have a choice? Eliza asks. There are always choices, Marion replies evenly. Some just have better outcomes than others. What do you want to do or say, Jeb?
At this point, I'm speaking for myself and my original companions, Eliza and Mac, I'm sure have split from me at this point. So I respond by saying, my original intent as I passed through was to approach cautiously, and if you were welcoming, I'd come in, do a little work, hopefully work for some rations and water, supplies, and keep moving on my way as I always do. That's still my plan, so if you need some help around your little outpost here, I'm willing to do a job or two and be on my merry way.
Your casual response creates an awkward moment of silence. Marion's expression tightens almost imperceptibly, while Decker lets out a short, humorless laugh. I don't think you quite grasp the situation, Marion says, her voice measured, but carrying a new edge. This isn't about trading work for supplies anymore. You've seen Kira. You know about Guardian, about what's happening here. Eliza steps slightly closer to you, lowering her voice. Jeb, I think what they're saying is that we can't just leave now. Not immediately. Mac's stance has shifted subtly, not threatening but more alert. We've stepped into something bigger than a simple trade arrangement, he murmurs. Marion watches this exchange, then continues. Let me be clearer. What we've shown you changes things. We've taken a significant risk by revealing our secret. We need time to establish whether that risk was justified. She gestures toward a nearby bench, inviting everyone to sit. Decker remains standing, his watchful gaze never leaving your group. Once seated, Marion speaks more directly. 3 days. That's what I'm asking. Stay, work, interact with our people. Let us get to know you better, and you us. After that time, if we feel comfortable with your discretion, you'll leave with supplies and no interference. And if you decide you're not comfortable, you ask. Marion meets your eyes steadily. But then we'll have a different conversation, but I'm hoping it won't come to that. Dr. Sarah, who has joined you from Kira's room, interjects in a gentler tone. What we have here is fragile but important. It could represent a new path forward in this world. We're not asking you to keep our secret forever, just to understand what's at stake before you decide what to do with what you've learned. Eliza turns to you. 3 days doesn't seem unreasonable, considering what we've discovered. And we could use the supplies. Her tone suggests she's trying to find a middle ground. Mac nods slowly, and it would give us time to understand better, make more informed decisions about all of this. He gestures vaguely at the facility around you. Decker shifts his weight impatiently. This isn't a negotiation. You three know too much to just wander off tomorrow with a wave and a thanks for the jerky. Marion shoots him a warning look before turning back to you. Indeed, is a negotiation, actually. We prefer cooperation to coercion. But the stakes are high, not just for us, but potentially for what's left of humanity. She leans forward slightly. 3 days. Work alongside us, learn more about what we're doing here if you wish. Then go on your way with supplies and whatever knowledge you feel is important to carry. The sunlight streaming through the windows has shifted, indicating the afternoon is advancing. Outside, you can hear the normal sounds of the settlement. People working, children playing. Life continuing despite the wasteland beyond their borders. What do you say, Jeb? Marion asks, her tone softening slightly. 3 days of your nomadic life in exchange for understanding something few others ever will? What is your response, Jeb?
I'll give you 3 days, but I don't like the tone. I've been nothing but accommodating and honest with all of you. So let's see what these 3 days bring. I'm not accustomed to being told what to do, but that doesn't mean I can't make an effort to understand and get along with everyone.
Your firm response, delivered without aggression but with clear boundaries, changes the atmosphere in the room. Marion straightens slightly, reassessing you, while Decker's expression remains guarded but shifts from open hostility to something more measured. Fair enough, Marion says after a moment, her tone more respectful. You've been forthright with us, and that deserves recognition. She extends her hand to you. 3 days. No constraints beyond standard settlement rules. Your guests, not prisoners. As you shake her hand, you notice Dr. Sarah nodding approvingly in the background. We all want the same thing here, Eliza offers diplomatically, to understand each other better. Decker makes a non-committal sound but lowers his rifle completely, finally relaxing his stance. Just remember the stakes, he says, his voice gruff but less antagonistic. This isn't about us. It's about everyone here. Marion gestures toward the door. Let's get you settled properly then. You've been working since you arrived, and there's still daylight left, but you should have proper accommodations if you're staying. As you exit the facility back into the afternoon sun, the settlement appears different now that you know it's secret. You notice details you missed before, the subtle pattern to the patrol routes that keep people at a safe distance from Guardian's territory, the careful organization of living spaces to maintain community coherence. Marion leads your group toward a small cluster of repurposed shipping containers that have been converted into basic but comfortable guest quarters. These were originally intended for researchers visiting from other outposts, Dr. Sarah explains as she walks alongside you. Before communication networks failed entirely, the containers have been modified with windows, insulation, and solar-powered lighting. Inside, you find simple cots with clean bedding, a small table with chairs, and storage spaces for your belongings. You'll each have your own space, Marion says. There's a communal washing facility at the end of the row. Water is rationed, of course, but you'll have your fair share. As your companions begin to settle in, Marion pulls you aside. I appreciate your willingness to meet us halfway, Jeb. Not everyone would. Her expression becomes more earnest. I understand your resistance to being told what to do. Most survivors who've made it this long share that trait. But what we're dealing with here goes beyond individual freedom. It's about possibility for all of us. She glances toward where Guardian would be patrolling beyond the settlement borders. We'll talk more over the next 3 days. I think you'll find there's much worth understanding here. As she turns to leave, she adds, "Unto evening meal is served at sundown in the central area. Until then, feel free to rest or explore within the settlement. Just stay within the boundaries marked by the red flags." Once Marion and the others have left, Eliza and Mac join you outside your containers. "Well," Mac says with a low whistle, "this is definitely not what I expected when we spotted this place." Eliza's expression is thoughtful, concerned. "What do you make of it all, Jeb? This symbiotic relationship they've developed? Kira's transformation? And more importantly," Mac adds, lowering his voice, "what's our play here? Do we just go along with this 3-day observation period?" The late afternoon sun casts long shadows across the settlement. In the distance, children are being called in from play, and workers are finishing their daily tasks. Despite the incredible revelation you've just witnessed, life here continues with a normalcy that's almost disconcerting. What do you want to do or say, Jeb?
I'm going to specifically address Eliza and Mac. Here's the deal. We made a truce coming in here, and we've learned some pretty crazy things. You told me the reasons why you wanted to investigate this settlement, and that was to learn about who we now know as the Guardian and why it's not attacking this settlement. And you specifically told me that you wanted to take that knowledge back to your hometown. Now, that's not really on me to say whether or not you want to do that. They've given the same warning to both you and me. But I think at this point, it'd be best that we make our own decisions, because I'm all for making allies wherever I go, including you. But it seems that your mission is now interfering with my well-being. So at this point, I think we need to make our own decisions. And I don't want to have to deal with any repercussions that might come from yours. So let's get to know each other over these next few days, as well as these people here, and we'll see where that takes us.
Your words hang in the air between the three of you. The pleasant sounds of settlement life continue in the background, a stark contrast to the tension that suddenly materialized within your small group. Eliza's expression shifts from thoughtful to guarded. She crosses her arms, studying you with new caution in her eyes. "So, this is where we stand," she says quietly. "You're breaking our alliance." Mac rubs his jaw, his calculating eyes never leaving your face. "We can't say I blame you," he says after a moment. "Self-preservation is the name of the game out here. Always has been. It's not about breaking an alliance," you clarify. "It's about acknowledging that we may have different priorities now." Eliza shakes her head slowly. "Our mission hasn't changed, Jeb. People are dying back home. Ravaged attacks are increasing. If there's a way to coexist, to establish some kind of boundary like they have here," she gestures around the settlement. "One never said we'd take Guardian back with us," Mac adds dryly. "Or start bleeding ourselves for the local ravaged. Just the knowledge of what's possible." Eliza steps closer to you, lowering her voice. "Look, I understand your caution. This place has rules, expectations. But my people sent me to find answers, and I've found them. I can't just pretend I didn't." "I'm not asking you to," you respond. "I'm saying we each need to decide what we do with what we've learned." Mac leans against the shipping container, his posture casual but his eyes alert. 3 days is a long time to play nice and pretend we're all on the same page. "These people aren't fools. No, they're survivors," Eliza says. "On just like us. They found a way to adapt that no one else has. That's valuable." She turns back to you, her expression softening slightly. "We don't have to be at odds, Jeb. We can figure this out together over the next few days. Find a path that protects them while still helping others." Max snorts softly. "Always the optimist, Eliza, but there's no malice in his tone. And Wasteland didn't take my hope," she replies without looking at him. "Just made it more practical." A bell sounds in the distance, some kind of settlement signal. People begin moving with more purpose around the central area. "Looks like dinner call," Mac observes. "Should we continue this heart-to-heart or break bread with our gracious hosts?" Eliza looks between you and Mac. "Let's take some time to think, process what we've learned. We don't need to decide everything right now." She reaches out as if to touch your arm, then hesitates. "We're still allies until we decide otherwise, Jeb. At least that's how I see it. The atmosphere has developed a complicated tension, not hostile, but uncertain. Your honest declaration has changed the dynamic between you, bringing hidden motivations into the open. As you look at your companions, you realize that the next 3 days will likely determine not just your relationship with this settlement, but with Eliza and Mac as well. People are gathering near the central fire pit. The smell of cooking food wafts through the air, some kind of stew again, with the rare luxury of bread being distributed. What do you want to do or say, Jeb?
I understand your position, and I'm not trying to break alliance with you, but if push comes to shove, I don't have the same goals as the two of you. I'm on my own out here. But the more allies I can have on the road, the better. So if we can make it through the next 3 days without being at odds with each other, that's just fine by me. So let's go have some dinner and turn in for the night. See what these next 3 days bring.
Eliza's shoulders relax visibly at your words. "Fair enough," she says with a small nod. "Different goals don't have to mean opposition." Mac gives a short, appreciative chuckle. Diplomacy in the Wasteland. Wonders never cease. He pushes off from the container wall. Food sounds good. Been a long day of discoveries. The three of you walk together toward the central gathering area, the tension between you not entirely gone but transformed into something more manageable, a recognized difference rather, than an active conflict. As you approach the communal dining area, you notice how the settlement's residents have organized themselves. Families cluster together on blankets or at makeshift tables. Workers group by function, farmers with farmers, guards with guards. It's orderly without seeming forced, the natural arrangement of a community that is settled into its routines. Marion notices your approach and gestures to an open space near where she sits with Dr. Sarah and several others you haven't met yet. Decker is notably absent from their group. "Join us," she calls, her tone neutral but not unwelcoming. As you settle onto the worn but clean blankets laid out for communal seating, settlers serve generous portions of vegetable stew with surprising chunks of what appears to be actual meat, rabbit, perhaps, or squirrel. The bread being passed around is fresh, still warm from baking. Dr. Sarah introduces the others in their group. "This is Otto, our chief agriculturist." She indicates an older man with weathered skin and calloused hands. "And Rove, who coordinates our water purification and distribution." The woman beside him nods, her sharp eyes evaluating you with practical interest. "And this is Jeb, Eliza, and Mac." Marion introduces you. "She'll be staying with us for a few days." Otto grunts what might be a greeting as he tears off a piece of bread. "Extra hands always welcome. Growing season's short this year, and we've doubled our yield since implementing the new irrigation system," Rove adds proudly. Even with water rationing, the conversation flows surprisingly normally for a community harboring such an extraordinary secret. People discuss practical concerns, crop rotation, repair needs, trading possibilities with other distant settlements. It strikes you how ordinary it all feels, despite what you now know lurks beneath the surface. As the meal progresses, you notice Marion watching your group carefully, though not obviously. Evaluating your interactions perhaps, or simply being cautious. Halfway through the meal, a familiar figure wheels herself to the edge of the gathering. Kira doesn't join any particular group, but several people bring food to her and speak with her briefly. You notice how some settlers seem completely comfortable in her presence, while others maintain a subtle distance. Children, interestingly, show no fear of her at all. A few even sit near her wheelchair, listening as she tells them what appears to be a story. "She's good with the children," Eliza comments quietly, following your gaze. "They adapt faster than we do," Otto replies, overhearing. "Don't carry the same prejudices. How progressive of them," Mac murmurs, his tone unreadable. As the meal concludes and darkness fully descends, solar-powered lights illuminate the central area. Some settlers begin to drift away to their quarters, while others linger, engaged in conversation or simple recreation. A few are playing cards, others mending clothing or tools. "What's your specialty, Jeb?" Rove asks suddenly. "Everyone contributes here. If you're staying a few days, we'll find work suited to your skills." Before you can answer, Otto interjects. "Could use help with the eastern plots. Soil needs turning. The water filters need maintenance too," Rove adds. "If you've got mechanical aptitude." Marion watches your reaction with interest. "We'll find appropriate tasks for all three of you tomorrow," she says. "For tonight, rest. It's been an eventful day. The settlement is winding down now, the rhythms of communal life moving toward night. The patrolling guards change shifts, their movements efficient and practiced. In the distance, barely visible in the moonlight, you can just make out Guardian's massive silhouette as it prowls the perimeter of its territory. Close enough to protect, far enough not to threaten." Eliza stifles a yawn beside you. "Think I'll turn in," she says. "When tomorrow will be interesting." Mac stretches, his eyes still alert despite his relaxed posture. "Same. Nothing like manual labor after existential revelations. What do you want to do now, Jeb?"
I'm willing to help out where it's needed, but I do carry a particular set of skills in survival. Wilderness survival in particular. I'm a scavenger. I know how to make my way through the world. Not sure as that will come in handy at this settlement, but I'm telling you none the same. So until tomorrow, I bid you all a good night, and I'm going to turn in. I then walk away and go to bed.
As you announce your skills and bid goodnight to the group, several heads turn with renewed interest. In a world where survival is everything, someone who excels at it carries inherent value. "A scavenger?" Otto repeats, a new respect in his weathered voice. "Might have use for that after all." Marion nods thoughtfully. "We'll discuss possibilities in the morning. Our perimeter always needs experienced eyes." As you stand to leave, Rove adds, "In wastelands around here hold many secrets, dangerous ones, but valuable too. Not many know how to navigate them safely." You can feel their assessment of you shifting slightly, a wanderer with specialized knowledge, not just another pair of hands for manual labor. The distinction matters in how they'll treat you going forward. "Rest well," Marion says as you depart. "On tomorrow will be a full day." You walk back to your assigned quarters through the now quiet settlement. The night air carries a slight chill, a reminder that even in the wasteland, seasons change. Guards nod as you pass, their weapons visible but not threatening. Their discipline speaks to the settlement's organization, something rare in these chaotic times. Your container accommodation is basic but comfortable, certainly better than your usual camping spots in the wilderness. Someone has left a pitcher of clean water and a small oil lamp burning low. The cot has actual sheets and a blanket, luxuries not often found on the road. As you prepare for sleep, the events of the day replay in your mind, the revelation about Guardian and Kira, the strange symbiosis developing here, the unexpected tenuous connection between human and ravaged. It challenges everything you thought you knew about survival in this broken world. Through the thin walls of your container, you can hear Eliza and Mac settling into their own quarters. Occasional murmurs suggest they're talking, perhaps about you, perhaps about what they've learned. Their voices are too low to make out words. You stretch out on the cot, finding it surprisingly comfortable after so many nights on hard ground. Your muscles ache pleasantly from the day's work, and the full meal sits satisfyingly in your stomach. Despite the uncertainty of your situation, there's a strange comfort in being within walls, surrounded by a functioning community, even if only temporarily. Your last thought before drifting off is of Guardian's silhouette against the night sky. Not fully human, not simply monster, but something new, something adapting. Like everything else in this world, you wake to soft morning light filtering through the small window of your container. For a moment, the unfamiliar surroundings disorient you, then yesterday's events come flooding back. Outside, you can hear the settlement coming to life, voices calling, tools being gathered, the day's work beginning. There's a knock at your door. Jeb? It's Marian's voice. When you're ready, come to the main hall for breakfast. We'll discuss today's arrangements. What do you want to do, Jeb?
Okay, I think I'm going to stop there for right now, and I think that's a okay stopping point. I don't know where this story is going to go or how long it'll go or if it'll ever end, but we can continue from here next time at the start of our 3-day settlement hangout thing here. Let me know what you guys think of this. It's interesting. It's interesting from my perspective. I don't know where the story's going. Don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring out this character and the world that I helped create, but AI is now taking it as their own and walking me through it. So I guess at this point I'm going to call this a part 1, and hopefully we can find a story with a resolution at some point here, or at least a story arc that has a resolution. We'll see. Again, if you guys can like this video and subscribe to the channel, that's going to help out a lot in me growing this channel. And let me know what you think about this format, this solo role playing. That's interesting, and I'm probably going to make another video. So it'll be interesting to try different genres also, like if I do something more fantasy later on or something. But let's stick with this story for now, and that's it. So until next time, keep YouTubing it up.